Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and record this on my phone, this audio, because you know what? As I've come to realize, I feel like every content creator needs to have their niche. Everybody needs to have their own sense of style. And for me, guys, I don't really do well talking in front of a camera, at least when it comes to doing things like YouTube videos. I feel like in order for me to be able to expound, I'm either need to be smoking a cigar or just walking around. And to be honest with you, this is difficult. This is more difficult, if I was to be completely honest with you. This is more difficult than I had ever initially figured it would be. Doing 2 sets of videos every week, and obviously the cigar cast is hard to do weekly just because I'm already doing content. I'm doing 1 full-time video every week. I'm doing streaming 3 days a week. I'm working a full-time job, which is not a 9-to-5 job. It's more of a 6-to-6 job. It's in the middle of the night. I work 12-hour shifts 4 days a week, and I'm with my wife because she and I don't hardly ever get to see each other during those 4 days. So our date nights, we go dancing once a week, and anytime we want to go visit friends or family out of town, which happens pretty frequently. We're going to visit family this week as well. And there's just so much going on, and it's hard to balance all those things at once. So, no lie, entry-level content creation is slowly showing me that YouTube is not a position, it's not a job that need to be taken lightly. But we're moving past that, and we're going to push forward. And every day we're going to get better, and someday soon actually, it won't be too terribly long, a few more months, and content creation will be my full-time job, and I will be pushing very hard to give you guys the best content I can. As for right now, this is the best I can do, and I hope that that's enough. If you feel the need to downvote my videos, that's your prerogative. You have every right to do so. And you know what? That's just going to make me do some self-reflecting and make me push harder and make me try to be better. So let me talk about what is on my mind today. As I am strolling my apartment, hopefully you guys are only hearing my voice and not so much the creaking of the floors and the resonance of my voice off the wall and ceiling. So I am nearly finished with Pathfinder Part 1 on my Hunter for BFA. And the thing is I've already done Pathfinder Part 2, basically, minus Pathfinder Part 1. I'm revered with all factions, the only 2 that I'm not revered with being Champions of Azeroth and the... trying to think now, Tortolan Seekers. Now, Champions of Azeroth is relatively close to being finished, being revered. I'm sitting around 8,000 or more out of 12,000 necessary. Tortolans is the one that's going to take a minute. I think I'm sitting somewhere around 3K with them. And they're limited rep. I'm sure there's specific quest lines that I could probably do that would advance that. And this week would have been this previous week would have been the best time to do it, considering the fact that it was World Quest bonus rep week, so missed out on that. But I don't think it's that big of a deal. Tortolans is something I can literally log on, do maybe a half dozen quests scattered across all 6 zones and be done with it. Whereas now, previously it was, oh my god, I have to do World Quest in every single zone so I can get rep. That's no longer the case, so at least that is behind me, and I'll actually be able to have some fun, because I've actually been wanting to do things like level a Disc Priest, leveling a Demon Hunter. I think a Demon Hunter would be a blast to play. Point of fact, when I played the alpha and beta of BFA, I had initially considered maining a Demon Hunter, but because I still didn't care for the changes to the hunters. But as I've given the Survival Hunter a chance to grow on me, and also have gotten my skills and abilities with high-level essences, so on and so forth. And to be completely honest with you, I think the essence system is a game changer. I think, because I look at my rotation, and I look how I feel as a hunter, and I'm not going to lie, guys, if I didn't have my major essence and my 2 minor essences, I don't think that I would enjoy playing my class as much as I do. I think the essences should have been part of the game at launch. As a matter of fact, the essences probably should have been baked into the armors, but not specifically to the armors, but more baked into the necklace as it is now. It's just difficult giving Blizzard any kind of credit, because the minute they take 2 steps forward, they have to take 2 steps back. And it's like they don't make any progress until they do make progress, except it's in such a way that you feel like you've been gypped the last 12 months, because you're like, Blizzard, why didn't you do this from day one? Well, we can't answer that question. We can only speculate. And it's to wonder why they would rush a project. I feel like Blizzard needs to stop. And I'm learning this, the more as I get older, both from my time in the military and now being out in the civilian world. You can never rush a project. And if you do, it's just going to not be what it could be, potential-wise. So I think that Blizzard has baked themselves into this 2-year cycle. They want to put an expansion out every 2 years. I don't know if that's healthy. I really don't. I feel like what would be better for us as a whole would be more of perhaps something likened to a 30-month or a 32-month cycle, perhaps maybe every 2.5 years. Now, granted, that would require more patches, more major patches throughout the lifespan of an expansion, but I think we would all agree that it's not the longevity of the expansion that we don't care for. In point of fact, it's not even the content of most expansions, minus, our recent memory with BFA. But for the most part, what bothers us is the lack of content. And you could probably rope BFA into that conversation, given the fact that the Azerite system was so incomplete. Lack of content. WoD, for example, humongous lack of content, second only to MOP's 14-month gap of nothing but Siege of Orgrimmar. Also, lack of content. The 3 knocks against 3 of the worst times, quote-unquote worst times, in World of Warcraft, minus Cataclysm. Say what you want about Cataclysm. I feel like it was a decent expansion. Obviously, it was one of the worst in a lot of people's minds, but I think that mainly had more to do with the fact that the open world had been completely shifted and changed, and the fact that to this day we still haven't figured out a way to fix that, I think is completely stupid, but I digress. Moving forward, I think that lack of content is the number one death to Blizzard's subscription numbers when it comes to World of Warcraft. Now, obviously, with the state of how things are playing out in the gaming industry, subscription numbers are not what's important anymore. You have in-store purchases, microtransactions, so on and so forth. And I feel like Blizzard probably doubles, perhaps. They even triple their earnings from World of Warcraft from in-game purchases and microtransactions, because how many players, how many single accounts out there do you think have ever done things like character transfers, name changes, or perhaps purchases a second or third account for multi-boxing purposes? Every time someone buys an in-game purchase, it's basically the same cost most times as at least a month's worth of subscription. Sometimes it's even more so. For example, most mounts are $25. That's basically a 2-month subscription. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation with the way the industry is right now, because they can slack off on giving us the content that we deserve and that we feel like we are akin to having, what we have built up on our minds, and sacrifice it for microtransactions, because that's where they're going to make up their difference. They don't hit 5 or 10 million subscribers. They can always make up for it with microtransactions. But moving forward, the thing that I feel like is going to be the centerpiece of all of BFA, as far as what we're all going to look back on and we're going to reflect on, and we still have probably another year in this expansion's lifespan, I have no doubt. because we still have to work up towards 8.2.5 and 8.3, and then the pre-expansion patch for whatever the next expansion is, whether it's Shadowlands or whatever else, if there's any truth in the leaks. I think what everybody's going to look back on in BFA is going to be this idea, this personification of window dressing. And I know that a lot of people have made this point that, especially between Legion and BFA, I think BFA suffers from this more than any other expansion in the history of World of Warcraft, is the fact that they basically took one in a dozen concepts. You could probably pick and name more, but between the Mythic Plus system and the artifact powers, artifacts to the Azerite system, all these different things, whether it's from garrisons to class order halls to now the war table, it's so many things that get basically just a new paint job and a new makeover, and there's really no difference in the system. It's not. Is that good game design? Maybe, depends on how you do it, I think, but I don't think Blizzard's put much thought into how they do it. It looks the same, it feels the same, and what's worse is that it's gotten even less significant in BFA because they've nerfed so many things. Case in point, they've nerfed the amount of gold you get from these mission tables. Used to, especially, my God, in WoD, you can make so much gold with alts. That was the one great thing about WoD. Say what you want about WoD, but the mission tables for WoD, man, you could make a killing off of that gold with those mission tables. But I'll tell you this too, it probably would have done more damage to the game in the long run of an expansion, because the economy would be completely tilted. I mean, it wouldn't be nothing for somebody to be walking around with 1 million gold after 6 months of having 10 or 11 alts farming mission tables with nothing but gold. I mean, people were manipulating their mission tables very early on in WoD just to maximize gold. And it only got worse the stronger their followers became, and the more followers became available with specific traits. I just don't know what Blizzard is thinking, though, when they basically take the one, halfway decent concept of the mission tables and take it away from the players, take it out of the players' hands. You make it even more pigeonholed than it already was, and it already is unattractive as it is, because we're not getting anything from these mission tables. Virtually nothing, especially the players that are playing hardcore hours. I mean, I'm talking the guys that play 80 hours of World of Warcraft a week, because they're either full-time gamers professionally, or they're full-time streamers, and they're playing, 40 hours a week just from streaming, and then they play another 30, 40 hours on their own off stream for whatever reason, whether they're pushing rank 1 or whatever else. Who knows? But when you take one entire concept of the game, one entire phase of the game's gameplay, and you basically just say, you know what, we're not going to let you benefit from it, and at least not truly benefit from it, you know what, I'm not even going to bother with the mission tables. I don't even touch the mission table unless it's a rep, and it's a rep that I need. And now that I have Revered with everybody but the Tortolans and the Champions of Azeroth, and probably within a couple of days of doing World Quest, I'll have Revered with both of them, it's not going to matter anymore. It's going to be completely worthless to even touch the mission table. Sure, somebody's going to come along and say, but Zera, it's 120 gold. That builds up after a while. Yeah, but I could go kill Onyxia in Dustwall Marsh and make that much gold in one kill. Like, to me, that's not a big deal. I could go farm an old raid content and clear 4 or 5 or 6 low-level raids and make 1,000 times more gold than that in the time that it would take that one mission to finish. And I get, 120-something gold from it? It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my energy. Or the headache, really, because having to constantly go to and from your mission table is just another avenue for Blizzard to say, hey, this is going to make you want to log in every day. And I'm going to be frank, no, it doesn't. World Quest, in just the single month that I've been playing WoW since I've come back, doing World Quest every day is the most annoying thing in the world. I don't care for it anymore. It's something that we all thought probably sounded great on paper, but when you say World Quest, I'm thinking maybe something along the lines of the entire world, not just the most recent zones. You have this technology where you can scale leveling with every zone, then why not scale the entire world? Granted, from level 1, let's say for example, in this expansion, you level 1 to 120. Say up to level 119, every mob in every zone stays at its max level of that zone. But then the minute you hit max level, let's say for example in Duskwood, I think Duskwood only goes up to level 40. Well, when you're 119, the mobs in that zone, when you happen to go visit that zone, are only ever going to be level 40. But the minute you hit max level, the minute you hit 120, now every mob in every zone should scale to level 120. I don't see a problem with that. And then introduce world quests in every zone in the world. I'm talking from Outland to Pandaria to Northrend, Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Draenor. I mean, you name it. Every single zone in the game should have modern, updated world quests for whatever the max level is of that character that you're playing. Whether it's 120, then great, that's perfect. And in future expansions, it could be 125, it could be 130, whatever it might be. Introduce world quests in every zone. And then here's another thing you can do. You can bake the follower system into this. Take your followers and say, hey, I want to take my 5 followers. And you could even narrow it down to 3, because I think this would be effective. Say you narrow it down to only 3 followers in your mission, on your mission table. You log in once a week. Only once a week can you log in and tell these guys where to go. And you can tell them, I want you to go to Silithus. I want one of you to go to Silithus. Tell another one, I want you to go to Winterspring. Tell another one, I want you to go to Zangrimarsh over in Outland. And for that entirety of that week, you only have access to world quests in those 3 zones. And that's it. You only have access to world quests in those 3 zones. And you can even take this a step further and say instead of sending 1 follower to each zone, you can send as many as 2 or even 3 followers to the same exact zone. And the more followers you send to a zone, a single zone, number 1 will impact the number of world quests in that zone, and number 2 will increase the possibility and the ratio of receiving ultra rare world quest rewards, which I think would be awesome. I think if you baked in the mission table concept with the world quest concept, and it became a weekly thing and not a daily thing, where you only go to your mission table once a week and your world quests pop up every 12 to 48 hours, however it is right now, you can keep that similar system. But this does a couple things. 1, it breathes new life into the mission table. It makes it less of an annoyance and more of a benefit to you to go to your mission table and really think about where you want to send your followers. And it gives the choice back to the players by saying, hey, I feel like I want to go back to old school Azeroth. I want to go to Winterspring. Okay, Winterspring. I want to go to Felwood. Okay, we're going to go to Felwood. Or you know what? I think it would be really cool if I went back to Outland and I went to Blade's Edge Mountains, or I went to Terracar Forest. So many different places that you could re-experience and reimagine in modern World of Warcraft fashion with your classes, your new abilities. You create new memories in those old zones. And if you happen to want a challenge for that week, or you happen to know that in a particular zone on a particular week of a particular month, there's a chance for this rare item to drop, and the only way to get it is to send all 3 of your followers there, okay, you log in one week, and that world quest is going to pop up potentially that week. You send all 3 followers to that zone. Say it be, for example, in the Burning Steeps. You can take all 3 followers and send them to the Burning Steeps. Voila, problem solved. And at some point throughout the week, you get a notification on your phone through the mobile app or whatever, you know, system Blizzard's implemented by then, because I'm sure mobile apps are just, you know, going to get worse and worse and worse as we go along, but that's for another time for another video. Or happen you log on and you just look at your map and you say, oh my God, there it is. There's that world quest I've been looking for months. There it is. I can go get it now. So many things could have a benefit to you. You stay in one zone, you knock out as many world quests that could be in all 3 zones combined in one zone. Makes it enriching, makes it incredible, makes it worthwhile, makes it beneficial to you. But alas, I'm not sure Blizzard's going to ever hear this message. I doubt they'll ever watch this video. But for what it's worth, guys, I feel like Blizzard has an opportunity here. With Classic coming out in just a few weeks' time, the global stress test, the final one, goes live this week. Unfortunately, I will not be able to play it because Blizzard decided to do a 1-day stress test instead of a 2-day stress test. And I will be out of town this weekend building my new PC. Expect a live stream covering that. So, all that being said, guys, I got nothing else for you. I think this is going to be the end of this week's video. I'm also going to be putting up my cigar cast probably around the same time. So I hope you guys will be looking out forward to that. Love you guys as always. I want you guys to remember to stay kind to one another and remain salty. And I'll see you guys in the stream here in a few hours. This is Zera, and I'm signing out.